The warning sirens were already screaming when Captain Jalen ducked under the falling beam. Sparks flew from the control panels as the ship trembled again. His crew shouted across the bridge, trying to control the chaos. One screen showed enemy fire raining down from the orbit of Zelvar. The other showed something worse, a second enemy fleet just uncloaked behind them. They were surrounded. This was not supposed to happen. The peace talks were still ongoing. No one expected the Arlax Dominion to break the treaty and strike during a neutral scientific conference. But now the humans and their allies were scattered, broken, and caught off guard in deep space. Jalen's ship, the Trident-class explorer Nomad, wasn't built for war. It had a small defense crew, mostly scientists and diplomats. And right now, he was missing one very important diplomat, a blue-skinned alien girl named Solara, the ambassador from the planet Rune Kai. Solara had vanished when the first torpedo hit. Jalen had seen her holding that strange artifact. Glowing orb she never let go of. She always said it was sacred. A living key, she called it. But no one believed it until now. Bridge is failing, his engineer yelled. Life support down to 23%. We need to abandon. But Jalen shook his head. He couldn't leave, not yet. Not until he found her. Not until he understood why her orb was glowing brighter than ever. He grabbed a rifle and ran toward the aft science deck, dodging fire and smoke. The path was blocked, but he knew another way through the ventilation corridor. He crawled inside, ignoring the heat. Every second counted. And every instinct screamed that Solara was the key to all of this. When he dropped down into the quiet lab, he saw her at last. Solara was standing in front of the stasis chamber, her body bathed in a soft violet glow. The orb floated between her hands, spinning slowly in the air. Her eyes were closed. She was chanting in her native tongue, words that vibrated through the room like music. "Solara!" Jalen shouted. She didn't react. He stepped closer, unsure. "We're under attack. I need you to come with me." Still nothing. The orb spun faster now, and the lights around the room dimmed. Jalen reached out, just a little closer. His fingers touched the glowing surface of the orb. It burned. Not with fire, but with memory. In a flash, visions flooded his mind stars. Collapsing, voices screaming in alien tones, a vast ship rising from the ocean of a dead world. He staggered back, gasping. His hands still tingled. The orb had reacted to him. And Solara opened her eyes slowly. "You touched it," she whispered. But instead of anger, she smiled, a slow, teasing smirk. "I told you not to human, but now you're part of it. The ship has chosen you too." Before Jalen could ask what that meant, the walls around them began to shift. Panels retracted. New shapes rose from the floor, glowing vines of light, alien circuitry awakening. The orb floated higher, now connected to the ship's systems. A deep voice filled the air. It wasn't Solara. It wasn't human. It was the ship. Biolink confirmed. Human interface accepted. Emergency defense systems online. Initiating planetary shield protocol. Jalen backed up. What the hell is happening? Solara stepped forward, placing one hand on his chest. "You just became the co-pilot of something much older than your Earth. This vessel is alive, Jalen. And now that it knows you, it's not going to let you go." Outside, the enemy fleets fired another volley, but the energy blasts never reached. The ship, a shimmering blue shield, snapped into place around the hull. The scientists on other decks stared out in shock. Even the enemies paused for a moment. The Nomad had just changed form, armor sliding into place like scales over a dragon's body. Jalen looked around in disbelief. "We were dead a minute ago. How is this happening?" "The orb," Solara said. "It's more than just a relic. It's a command key for a hidden defense system buried deep in this ship's core. But only someone not from my world could unlock it. That's why it waited for you." The ship's engines roared to life. They weren't human-made anymore. The design had shifted into something otherworldly. They lifted off into hyperspace as the enemy tried to follow. But the Nomad was too fast now. Too smart. Too alive. Jalen stared at his hand, the glow fading slowly. You planned this, didn't you? Solara's smile grew wider. Not everything, but I knew this war was coming. I just didn't know the orb would choose you. Now we don't just run. We fight, and you, human, are not leaving my side again. Jalen took a deep breath, feeling the ship hum with energy all around him. They weren't explorers anymore. They were something else now. Asterisk. The stars outside the window stretched into long ribbons as the ship jumped into hyperspace. Jalen stood in silence beside Solara, the strange glow of the orb still flickering inside his skin. He felt different. Not stronger or faster, but more aware. He could sense the ship's pulse like a second heartbeat inside him. Solara walked slowly to the new control platform that had risen from the floor. The old panels were gone. In their place was a strange, smooth surface, pulsing with light in patterns he couldn't read. But Solara moved her hands over them with ease, her fingers dancing across invisible lines. This ship isn't just advanced. Jalen said, it's alive, and it knows us now. Solara nodded, her silver-white hair glowing faintly in the soft blue lights. The orb is part of an ancient system built by my ancestors. It was lost for thousands of years, hidden beneath ruins. My people thought it was only a myth. But when I touched it the first time, it awakened, and it whispered your name. Jalen blinked. My name? Not your name exactly, she said. But your kind, human. The orb is programmed to bind. With a mind that doesn't come from Runkai, it seeks balance. One of us, one of you. The ship trembled again, but this time it was not fear. It was motion. The walls around them shimmered and shifted, revealing long corridors lined with ancient glyphs in smooth metal. The Nomad was becoming something else entirely. The crew was still stunned. They moved carefully through the hallways, whispering about what the ship had become. Some of them were afraid. Others stared in awe. No one could explain how a science vessel turned into a warship in less than 10 minutes. No one except Solara. Jalen followed her into a lower chamber, where the orb floated again, now surrounded by energy rings. What is this place? This is the heart, Solara said. It's where the ship listens, where it decides. He stepped closer, feeling the energy in the room press against his chest like wind. And what is it deciding now? If you are truly ready to carry the burden, she said. It's not just a weapon, Jalen. It's a last legacy of an extinct empire. It holds the coordinates to a hidden station. One that holds knowledge so dangerous my ancestors buried it and erased its name. Jalen stared at her. And now it's unlocked because I touched the orb? Solara turned to him, serious now. Yes, you didn't just wake the ship, you woke its mission. And now it's sending us there. Suddenly the room went dark. Hollow voice echoed all around them. Interceptors detected. Pursuit ships closing at 2,000 clicks. Weapon systems charging. Awaiting co-pilot authorization. Jalen turned to Solara. It wants me to give the order. She stepped aside. It's your bond now, speak. He stepped forward, heart pounding. Defensive mode, evade and disable attackers. Do not kill unless necessary. The room lit up again, and the ship responded instantly. Outside, hidden guns emerged from the hull. Blue energy surged into the void. The screen showed several small ships racing toward them, but one by one, they were disabled by precise blasts that shut down their engines. The crew watched from the command deck in silence. Cheers broke out. Even the stern security chief muttered a stunned, "That's impossible," Jalen exhaled. "We're not just fighting a war anymore, are we?" Solara shook her head. "No, we're running toward its root." Later, Jalen sat alone in the observation dome, Watching space swirl around them, Solara joined him, placing the orb gently between them. Its light was soft now, like a heartbeat slowed down after a sprint. "I've studied human emotions," she said. "But I didn't expect this." "Expect what?" "That you would feel responsible. Most would run. Most would fear the power." Jalen looked at the orb. "I do fear it. But I also know if it chose me, then I don't get to walk away. Not now." She looked at him with something close to admiration. The orb wasn't wrong. He glanced sideways at her. "So, what happens?" "If I touch it again?" Her smile returned. "Maybe don't, or maybe do. It depends on how much you want the ship to like you." He laughed softly. "It already knows too much." She leaned in just slightly, her eyes locked on his. "Then let's see what else it wants to show us." As they sat together, the ship moved silently through the stars, carrying its new co-pilots toward a mystery buried in time. Asterisk, the ship slowed just before reaching the edge of a dying star system. Broken planets circled a dim sun like shattered teeth. Radiation clouds twisted in the distance. This place wasn't marked on any human chart, but Solara knew exactly where. They were. She stared at the screen with quiet fear in her eyes. "That," she said softly, "is the Forbidden Station. My ancestors called it Kalmorak. It was sealed during the last Silence War. No living Rumkai has returned since." Jalen leaned forward, watching the massive shape in the dark. The station looked like a city turned inside-out spirals of metal, towers floating in zero gravity, held together by glowing rings of energy. It didn't rotate or flicker. It waited in perfect silence, like a sleeping monster dreaming in space. The orb pulsed again, and the ship began scanning automatically. A deep voice spoke through the chamber again. "Kalmorak integrity stable. Radiation at threshold. Docking sequence authorized. Awaiting command." Jalen hesitated. "Is it safe?" Solara looked uncertain. "Nothing about this is safe. But if the orb led us here, then it wants us to see something. And if we leave now, we might never get another chance." Jalen nodded. "Prep the shuttle. We go together, only us." Solara touched the orb one last time before it sank into a secure chamber inside the ship. "It will wait for us. But it will also watch us." They entered the shuttle in silence. The crew tried to protest, but Jalen gave no orders. He didn't need to explain. He could feel the weight of what was coming. And the orb had burned something into his mind: coordinates, memories, warnings too strange to understand. But one thing was clear. Answers were inside that station, as they neared. Kalmorak, its structure awakened slowly. Lights flickered along the outer hull. An invisible current pulled them in, and the shuttle docked without resistance. The airlock opened to reveal a wide chamber of black stone and metal veins that shimmered like oil under their boots. Solara walked ahead, her posture tense. This place was made with purpose, not just as a vault. It's alive too, but darker. Less forgiving than the orb's ship. Jalen followed closely, holding a small light. The walls were covered in carvings. Not written language, but memory glyph shapes that twisted when he looked too long. The station didn't want to be read. It wanted to be felt. They passed through a tall gate into a circular chamber where something floated in the center. A throne without a ruler. Above it, a crystal the size of a man spun slowly. It hummed with an energy that made the skin on Jalen's arms crawl. Solara gasped. "That's a memory core. I thought they were all destroyed." "What is it?" "It stores ancient thoughts. Battle logs, voices of the dead, designs for weapons no one was meant to build again." Jalen looked at the throne. "And the orb sent us here. Why?" Before Solara could answer, the crystal flared and bathed the room in golden light. A projection formed above them, an image of a Runkai commander in battle armor, eyes burning like fire. He spoke in their native tongue, but the ship's AI translated instantly. If you are seeing this, the silence has broken. The orb has chosen a new bearer. You must understand Kalmorak holds the schematics for the Sunder Protocol. Do not activate it unless the end is near. Solara froze. No, that protocol is myth. A galaxy burner. It destroys systems to stop invasions. The voice continued. The orb can awaken Kalmorak. But it must be linked with one not born of Runkai. A mind outside the silence. Only then can the balance be kept. Jalen took a step back. They built this for war, not defense. They built it to end everything. Solara looked at him, fear growing in her voice. The orb didn't just choose you, it's making you the key. If Kalmorak wakes fully, the galaxy will burn unless you tell it not to. Suddenly, the floor trembled. Lights blinked red. The station had detected their presence, and now it was reaching out to the orb aboard their ship. It had already begun sinking. Jalen pulled her close. We need to get back. Now, if that station links with the ship, it might launch the Sunder Protocol on its own. They sprinted through the hallways as alarms blared and ancient doors began to close. The walls groaned like a beast waking from 1,000-year sleep. The shuttle doors opened just as a blast shook the docking bay. They launched away, flames licking the edge of the station. Jalen called to the ship. Disengage from all Kalmorak systems. Lock the orb away, no connection, no sync. The ship responded instantly. Emergency lockout confirmed. Orb containment sealed. Sunder Protocol aborted. Solara collapsed into her seat, breathing hard. We were seconds away from destroying the star system. Jalen looked back at the dark silhouette of Kalmorak shrinking in the distance. And I was seconds away from doing it without knowing. Solara whispered, Now do you see why I told you not to touch the orb? Jalen didn't answer. He just stared out the window, realizing the true weight of what lived inside that glowing sphere. Back aboard the Nomad, the lights were dimmed and the air was heavy. Everyone on the crew could feel something was wrong. The ship had returned from Kalmorak, but it had not returned the same. The orb was locked away in a reinforced vault, but it still pulsed softly behind the barriers. Jalen sat in the captain's quarters. Staring at a data slate full of sensor logs, he replayed the moment when the orb began syncing with Kalmorak. The code, the power surge, the warnings, it all happened so fast. His hand still felt warm from where he touched the orb days ago. Solara entered quietly, holding a cup of blue tea from her world. She placed it beside him without a word and sat across the table. Her eyes no longer held that teasing glow. Now, they carried the weight of history, and maybe guilt. You were right to fear it, Jalen said. I feared it, Solara replied. But I also believed it could protect. The orb was never meant to wake Kalmorak. That was a trap. It wasn't supposed to happen until the silence returned. Jalen looked confused. What is the silence? Solara took a deep breath. It's a prophecy. When all diplomacy fails, when the stars grow quiet and truth dies, that's the silence. My people feared it, but they also prepared for it. Kalmorak was their answer, a reset button. Jalen stood up. And now I'm holding that button. Outside the chamber, the ship began scanning nearby systems. The crew picked up strange signals in the distance. Enemy probes were moving again, and this time, they weren't stealthy. Someone knew the Nomad had awakened something. The ship's voice returned, calm but firm. Unknown vessel detected. Cloaked, orbiting the wreckage of Kalmorak. Energy readings unstable. Jalen and Solara rushed to the bridge. The main screen showed a dark craft drifting near the ancient station. It was black as space, with glowing red runes carved along its hull. Jalen didn't recognize it, but Solara did instantly. The Obsidian Watchers, she whispered. They are not part of any empire. They are guardians of forbidden places. They must have been hiding near Kalmurik all this time. The alien ship sent a message directly. It wasn't words, it was emotion. A wave of pressure filled the air, heavy with anger and warning. The crew staggered from the force of it. Solara gritted her teeth. "They're demanding we surrender the orb," she said. "Or they'll destroy us and wipe this sector clean." Jalen narrowed his eyes. "Tell them no, the orb chose us. We didn't steal it. They don't care about choice. They care about containment. They believe the orb is too powerful to be touched by anyone." The alien ship charged weapons. The Nomad prepared shields. The crew scrambled to battle stations. But Jalen stepped forward and placed his palm on the emergency override panel. "Ship," he said calmly. "Link with the orb, but only under my voice. Defensive measures only. Let's show them we won't be threatened." Solara stared at him. "You're risking everything again," Jalen smiled. "We didn't come this far to bow now." The ship pulsed once. The orb responded inside the vault. Power surged through the systems, but this time it was calm, like a beast stretching its muscles rather than preparing to strike. The Nomad lit up with quiet strength. The alien ship fired first. A long beam of red energy tore through space toward them, but before it hit, a curved wall of violet light rippled out from the Nomad and caught the beam like water catching fire. The energy broke apart and scattered like dust. Then the Nomad responded. Not with violence, but with something stranger. A signal pulsed from the hull. A wave of memory, like a voice from deep time, echoed across the stars. The Obsidian Watchers froze, their ship powered down. Lights flickered off. They heard it, Solara whispered. The voice of the old ones. The Nomad reminded them who built Kalmurik, and why they should fear it. Jalen exhaled. So they'll back off? For now, she said. But this was a warning shot. The galaxy just saw us block a death weapon without firing. That kind of display attracts enemies. Jalen looked at her. And allies? Maybe, she said. But some allies are worse than enemies. That night, Jalen stood in front of the orb's chamber. He didn't open it, he just listened. He could feel it, like a whisper inside his bones. It wasn't angry. It was waiting for the next choice, for the next danger, for the next test. Asterisk, the Nomad moved quietly now, far from Kalmurik, hidden in the shadows of an asteroid field. The glow orb remained locked in its vault, sealed behind 10 layers of alien energy. But peace didn't return to the ship. The silence was sharp, heavy. Every crew member felt it like a storm about to fall. Jalen walked the halls with caution. Something was off. The AI systems responded slower than usual. The power fluctuations returned in short bursts. He checked the ship's logs and noticed several commands issued from his authority, ones he didn't give. Someone had accessed the orb interface without him. Solara stood in the engine room, watching coils of light pulse in patterns she didn't recognize. These aren't ship commands, she said. They're requests. Someone is asking the orb for knowledge, Jalen frowned. Knowledge about what? She looked at him with rising fear. About how to control it. They raced to the command center and pulled up access logs. A single name appeared again and again, Lieutenant Hosk. He was one of the few crew members with both clearance and technical skill. He was quiet, loyal, never questioned orders. And now he was gone. The AS voice cracked slightly as it spoke. Lieutenant Hosk departed in Shuttle 3. Destination unknown. Orb data fragment was copied during departure. Ship security was bypassed. Solara swore under her breath. He stole a piece of the orb's programming. If he finds a way to replicate it, he could build another weapon. Or worse, activate the Sunder protocol remotely. Jalen clenched his fists. He was in every meeting. He heard everything. Why? Would he betray us? Some people see power and think they were meant to hold it, Solara said. And if he sells that data to the wrong species, This war could go far beyond Kalmorak. Jalen stared at the star map. Track his shuttle. I want him found before he reaches a buyer. But the AI answered with a chilling tone. Tracking not possible. Shuttle entered dark space. No signals. Estimated re-emergence. Unknown. They were too late. Hosk had disappeared into a pocket of space that even light refused to enter. And the orb inside the vault pulsed faster now, like a heart sensing. Danger. Jalen looked at Solara. And we prepare for the worst. Hours passed. The Nomad stayed hidden while its systems rebuilt internal defenses. Solara taught Jalen how to use more of the orb's subtle functions, communication, warning systems, and projection memory fields. The orb responded easily to him now. Almost too easily. I think it trusts you more than it ever trusted my people. She said quietly. Maybe that's why the creators built it for humans. Or maybe, Jalen said, we're just the latest mistake. She didn't argue with that. Later that night, Jalen entered the vault chamber alone. The orb floated silently in its shielded case. He stood in front of it and spoke without touching it. Can you hear me? The lights in the room dimmed, and a soft voice echoed, not the AI, not Solara. The orb answered. I see you, Chosen. Mind, why do you hesitate? Because someone used you to make a copy, he said. And I don't know if that means you're still secure. The orb glowed brighter. All fragments remain connected. Should this stolen code be used, I will. Feel it, and I will respond. How? That depends on you. He stepped closer. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to end systems. But if he uses that data for war, you must stop him. Then you must give me permission to act. Jalen paused. His hand hovered near the control ring but didn't touch it. Only if he uses it, not before. Understand? Understood. He left the chamber feeling colder than before. The orb could stop Hosk, but it was still just a tool. The real danger was human greed, ambition, the same thing that had started so many wars back on Earth. The next morning, a distress signal came through. A nearby spaceport on a fringe colony had been attacked. A lone shuttle had landed without clearance. Then something inside the station glowed, and the power grid collapsed across the entire region. Jalen and Solara shared a look. It's him, she said. He's testing the code. He wants to see if he can wake something new. Jalen stood and called to the AI. Plot a course, maximum speed. If he lights one more orb, the galaxy won't survive it. The Nomad roared to life. This time, there would be no more warnings. No more waiting. The orb had chosen him to act. And now the clock was ticking. The Nomad moved like lightning, cutting through warped space toward the fringe colony. The glow orb pulsed in steady rhythm from its vault, and Jalen could feel it echo in his chest. The connection between him and the artifact had grown stronger. He no longer needed to speak commands. Sometimes it responded to his thoughts. Solara stood beside him on the bridge, her face calm but her fingers tight around the rail. If Hosk unlocks another orb, she said, he might trigger a chain link. There are rumors that more fragments are hidden across the old empire. Jalen nodded. And if they link together, the Sunder protocol could become automatic. It won't need a command. Just a signal. The ship's AI cut in. Approaching. Station. Power grid is still offline. No external defenses detected. One life form identified near the vault chamber. DNA match, Lieutenant Hosk. Any civilians? Jalen asked. Evacuated, the AI replied. But internal damage is severe. Signs of feedback pulse radiation. Jalen stood. He's already tested the copy. The shuttle bay opened, and Jalen, Solara, and a small security team dropped onto the cracked landing platform. The sky above the colony shimmered unnaturally, as if space itself was nervous. Inside the station, walls were scorched and equipment melted. Something had overloaded. But it wasn't from a fight. It was from the orb copy trying to activate. They found Hosk alone, kneeling in front of a hollow pedestal. In his hands was a broken shard of synthetic crystal, glowing weakly. He didn't look up when they entered. He just laughed to himself. "A soft, bitter sound. I thought I could control it," he whispered. "I thought if I used just a small part, I could become something greater." Jalen stepped forward. "What did you do?" "I gave it power," Hosk muttered. "Hooked it into the colony's grid. But it wanted more. It burned the systems, fried everything, then it screamed." Solara froze. "It what?" Hosk finally looked up, his eyes bloodshot. "It screamed in my mind. A voice like 1,000 blades. Said I was unworthy. Said it wanted the original back." Jalen realized something then. "It's not just a weapon. It's a judge, a test," Solara nodded. "And he failed." Jalen walked over and knelt beside Hosk. "You didn't have to steal it. You could have asked. I would have told you what." "We learned." "I didn't want to learn," Hosk said. "I wanted to command." Suddenly, a ripple of energy surged from the broken shard. The walls groaned. Red lights flashed in warning. The Nomad's AI came through the comms. "Residual energy detected. Unknown protocol forming." "The shard is trying to reconnect." Solara grabbed Jalen's arm. "If the shard links to the main orb on our ship, even for a second," Jalen didn't wait. He pulled out his sidearm and fired. The crystal exploded into powder and the ripple collapsed. Silence fell again. Hosk stared at the empty space where the shard had been, then slowly lowered his head. "I wanted to be the chosen one," he whispered. "You were," Jalen said. "But you chose wrong." Back aboard the Nomad, the orb glowed faintly behind its shield. Jalen stood alone in front of it, speaking softly. "The copy's gone. He's no longer a threat." The orb pulsed once. Balance restored. He closed his eyes. "So that's it?" "No more tests. New tests will come," the orb replied. "But you may choose how to face them." Solara entered the chamber. She watched him for a moment, then stepped forward and stood beside him. "You ended it, without firing a weapon." "That matters." Jalen smiled weakly. "I didn't want to win. I just wanted to survive and make sure no one else misused you." The orb's light shifted to a softer hue, almost like a quiet thank you. Later, as the ship moved away from the colony, Solara joined Jalen in the observation dome. Stars shimmered ahead. Calm had returned. "For now, you know," she said. "The orb didn't pick you just because of your mind. It picked you because of your heart. That's what it reads first." He chuckled. "Then I'm glad I didn't let it down." She looked at him, more serious now. "What happens if another orb wakes? Or if another Kalmarok is found? Then we stop it, together," she smiled. "Then I'll stay by your side, until the stars stop burning." The Nomad drifted into the stars, no longer just a science ship. It was something more now. A guardian, a warning, and a symbol of what could happen when power was given not to the strongest, but to the one who chose restraint.